Let me be clear. My group had nothing to do with the creation of the risky loans in the IndyMac loan portfolios. We did go through an independent foreclosure review, and unfortunately there were some issues, very, very low rates relative to everybody else, but there were some issues, and we paid money to those people to make them whole, and I earnestly feel terrible for any mistakes at the bank.
Treasury Secretary nominee Steve Mnuchin under fire from the Senate Finance Committee this afternoon over his involvement with foreclosure machine. I put that in quotes because that's what some people called IndyMac, which was the failed lender that Steve Mnuchin and a bunch of investors, including George Soros, bought and scooped up and turned into One West Bank. But this previous involvement in the housing crisis, what does it do for paving the way or putting some stumbling blocks in on his way to being Treasury Secretary? Let's bring in Republican Senator from South Dakota and member of the Senate Banking Committee, Senator Mike Rounds. You've been listening. You've been hearing what's been going on. How do you think he did?
I think he did a good job. I think he explained what went on. The fact that he was involved. He couldn't have been involved if there wasn't a sale of those properties to begin with. The mistakes that were made had to be cleaned up someplace. He was one of the guys that came in and put together the businesses that did it. I think he answered the question straightforward, and I don't think it hurt his prospects of becoming the next Treasury Secretary.
Listen, he is an extraordinarily smart guy. He's worked in mortgages. He's got the Midas touch when it comes to Hollywood. You name it, the movies that you see his name in the credits, whether it's Sully or Suicide Squad, every time I look up, I say, that was a great movie, it says executive producer Steve Mnuchin. However, if you were to insert Democratic president candidate in putting somebody like this up for Treasury Secretary, do you think it would be a little different and the Republicans would feel a little more bellicose towards somebody like this?
You know, I think part of the process that we go through here is we look at and we ask a lot of questions. The members of the other party, the loyal opposition, are always going to be probably a little bit tougher than what the party who is promoting their president's nominee.
Sure.
So we'll both talk and we'll both ask good questions. Democrats in this particular case will be asking probably some more direct and pointed questions. They'll look a little bit more into their history. I think Republicans, you'll find, will be talking more about what his philosophy is, what he can do. Can he fix the IRS? Can he understand? And what's he going to do about this issue that we've got coming up in front of us, where we've got $19.6 trillion in debt, probably close to $20 trillion by the time it comes time to actually start refinancing it once again. So you'll find differing points of view that we're trying to get across, but most certainly all of it's important. And when we bring out the issues of his past, you'll find that probably Democrats do it to a Republican nominee and Republicans will do it to a Democrat nominee, as most people would expect.
Indeed, indeed. Let's get to the debt ceiling. March, we hit it. Now, for people who don't really understand what the debt ceiling is, it's the nation's credit card, the ability to borrow, and if we hit the top of it, you need to officially approve to raise it. This is always touchy. Where do you stand on that? He flat out said, I believe we must raise the debt ceiling as soon as possible. This is extraordinarily important. He said, I'd rather do it sooner than later.
I don't disagree, but at the same time, we know that there are some additional measures they can do to where if they can't come to a negotiated settlement, that they can extend it sometime into the summer, probably. But why put it off? The reality is that unless we're going to balance our budget right now and actually have the ability to not just pay our ongoing expenses, but interest on the debt as well, we don't really have a choice. We're going to have to do something about the existing debt and continuing it on. And most of us will tell you that we understand that if we've already spent the money and we owe the debt, we've got to pay the interest on the debt.
Okay, and to that point, Donald Trump has been crunching some numbers even as he prepares for the inauguration. He's multitasking, definitely saying he wants to cut $10 trillion over 10 years and in spending, and that sounds great to anybody who is fiscally responsible. However, he has also said he wouldn't touch Social Security or Medicare, and where then do you get such a large number from, sir?
I'm looking forward to finding that out as well, because right now you got just about, for round numbers, $4 trillion a year that we spend. Of that amount, 78% of it's on autopilot, or 72% of it's on autopilot. 28% is all we vote on. For the last 42 years, Congress votes 12 separate appropriation bills, only about, when you're talking $1.2 trillion a year. So if you're going to start cutting that money out and you're not going to touch Social Security, Medicare or Medicaid unless there's other approaches, there isn't really too many other places to go other than interest on the debt. Now, if we can get rid of the debt, then we don't have that as an expenditure. But right now, we've got to deal with it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Listen, it's great to have you, Senator Mike Rounds. We appreciate it.
Thank you.